Hello everyone, Ember here. Welcome back to a new video. This time we're going to be taking a look at Clefairy. So Clefairy is a new basic Pokemon for Lost Origin that has the amazing ability Moon Watching Party. It says once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, for each of your bench Clefairy, you may search your deck for Psychic Energy and attach it to that Clefairy. So if we have 3 Clefairy in play, we can essentially search our deck for 3 Psychic Energy and put them into play. And of course, Wonderstorm for 3 Colorless Energy, well, we only play Psychic, does 20 damage for each Psychic Energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So assuming we just bench a bunch of Clefairy and just start spamming loads of switching cards, such as Escape Rope and Switching Card and Regular Switch, as well as Manual Retreat with Air Balloon, we can deal mass damage very quickly with Wonderstorm. Now, I've seen a couple of lists play the Wire Deer. I'm personally not so sold on Wire Deer. I do agree that it has some amazing one-hit KO potential, but I think the big problem, or like my biggest issue with that Pokemon, is that if you open with it, it's really bad because it's just 2 prize cards the opponent can get, and that obviously puts you in a pretty big disadvantage as a 1-prize deck. Like, you don't want to give your opponent 2 prize cards whenever they can. And because Wire Deer has relatively low hit points, decks like Palkia or Giratina can just boss it up and take 2 prize cards. However, there is another solution, in the form of the new Basculegion with Upstream Spirits. Now for 0 energy, this attack does 20 damage for each of our basic Psychic Energy in our discard pile, and then after we've used Upstream Spirits, we shuffle those energy back into our deck. So then once we've done that, we can just, start spamming Clefairy again and then start using our switching cards. And this way, we don't have to kind of like overextend late game and try and find ways to keep either Wire Deer or Clefairies continuously switching around, which I think the deck does struggle to do if you don't play Basculegion. But with Basculegion, this essentially allows you to have a massive 1-hit KO move as soon as you get like 10, 11, 12 energy in the discard pile, which of course is very easy to do thanks to, just discarding in general, as well as your opponent just knocking out multiple Clefairies. There's also a massive bonus in the form of Vesuvian Basculin that has the amazing attack Gather the Crew, that again for 0 energy, so we don't have to commit energy ever to retreat, or ever to attack, with Basculin or Basculegion, just to retreat with. And it has Gather the Crew that allows us to search our deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto our bench. So obviously with Basculin, we can just find multiple Clefairies going second, or, just get our Manaphy or Greninja. So one thing I will say is that I would recommend playing the Radiant Greninja. You could play Hawlucha if you want a better time against VMAXs. One thing I will say with this deck, though, is that you don't necessarily have to play a Radiant Pokemon. I just think the deck is massively, it's just a lot better with Radiant Greninja, so it's massively improved. Obviously, concealed cards. We have an abundance of energy in the deck, so just being able to discard a Psychic Energy to draw 2 is very good. And it's just something we can do most turns of the game when we have Psychic Energy in hand, because we do play 16 energy. So for the items, we play 3 Escape Rope, which will act as a way to get our Clefairies or Soon Basculins out of the active, but it will also act as a kind of a force switch on the opponent, which will essentially double as a boss's order, I guess, in some situations, which is pretty cool. We also play 4 copies of Fog Crystal, and this will allow us to search our deck for either a Clefairy or a basic Psychic Energy. Very powerful card. 4 copies of Level Ball. This will essentially find any of our basics, which is very helpful, apart from Radiant Greninja and Hisuian Basculegion, but it will find Basculin, Clefairy, and Manaphy, so for a card, have to include it. We are playing the Ordinary Rod that not only shuffles in some basic energy, but also shuffles in 2 Pokemon. So essentially, we kind of have to play Ordinary Rod and not just Rescue Carrier, because although we are shuffling in our energy with Basculegion, Basculegion cannot be picked up with Rescue Carrier, so I do think you need to run an Ordinary Rod just in case you discard any of these guys early on, because we are playing 3 Professor's Research and 2 Quick Ball, so definitely worth playing the Ordinary Rod. Also trying out a Pal Pattern here. I know that there's like some argument that maybe you don't need Pal Pad, but I think like the deck is going so fast at most points in the game that having this option to essentially shuffle 2 supporter cards from discard pile just allows you to reuse boss's orders in Bruno is obviously very strong. One thing I will say, if you're going to experiment with stadiums, I recommend trying out Pokestop, because obviously this deck is trying to find loads of switching cards, fog crystals, so stuff like Palpad and Ordinary Rod have just become so much better with Pokestop, so I would recommend giving Pokestop a go. I just haven't found room for him yet. We also play 2 Quick Ball. This is mainly here to just find out an extra Clefairy, but it can also search out our Radiant Greninja, so it's just an easy way of doing that. We also play Rescue Carrier that will allow us to pick up 2 Pokemon with 90 HP or less, typically reserved for when we've lost a Basculin and a Clefairy, just allows them to return to our hand. We also play 4 copies of Switch, just to simply switch out or active. 2 copies of Switch card. Obviously, if you're not playing the Basculegion, you could play this as a reverse split of 4-2, because Switch card does actually allow you to heal a little bit of damage. But since spread decks aren't that important or like very popular in the format, so I just figured, yeah, we don't really need to worry about this. Also, this can only switch basic Pokemon, and there will obviously be turns where there is a Basculegion in the active spot. Moving on to the supporters, we have 2 Boss's Orders, just to allow us some gusting. One thing I will say about Clefairy is, even though your damage output is massively improved over compared to something like Lunarock, for example, or even Regigigas sometimes, you will find that you still can't like 1-KO V-Stars. So often, there will be turns where you can just like boss a Palkia V or something, Luminion V, Crobat V, whatever, and then just like knock them out very easily as soon as like turn 2 potentially. So I think it's just, I think it's just very worth it to actually play Boss's Order in the deck. And because we have Power Pad, we can obviously shovel some of these guys back in. I'm also playing 3 copies of Bruno over Cynthia. I know a lot of people say Cynthia is just better Bruno, but most of the time I feel you can't really afford to play down your hand sometimes. Like, there will be turns where there's just so many switching cards in your hand that you can't play them all at once. You need to find more Clefairy, you need to find more energy or something. So having Bruno just adds so much more essentially. So shuffle draw 7 for Bruno. 3 Professor's Research, bit of a given because we are trying to play a bit of a turbo deck. You could play Trekking Shoes as well if you wish, but I'm just going for 3 Research. And then 2 Air Balloon, that allows us to switch decreases our retreat cost by 2 colors. Something to worth note about Clefairy is I think they deliberately made it so it has a retreat cost of 2. So, Clefairy, you can't just manually attach a Clefairy, switch into another Clefairy, manually attach, and then retreat. You do have to play Air Balloon, so that's kind of why I'm playing that. It also just helps to just slap Masonic Manaphy and Greninja to act as a free pivot throughout the game, because sometimes you would rather have a Choice Belt on Clefairy. So Choice Belt obviously increases your damage done to Pokemon V by 30 damage, so having 2 Choice Belt will definitely help with those maths. And we are playing 16 energy. I'd say 16, 17 energy is about the right threshold you'd want. There has been some games where I've wanted more. There has been some games where I've needed less, but I do think this is necessary amount. So yeah, it's been the deck list. Let me know what you think of this deck. Do you think this needs wide deer, or can you get away with Basculegion? This is definitely, I think, the cheapest version of the list because of it. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. It's been Ember Power. Thank you for watching, and I hope we see you next time. Thank you for watching.